West Side. That's a W for welcome, everyone, to the ROONS MIZZ Arsenal chat. I'm ROONS.
And I'm Miz.
Today we celebrate the end of our first season.
Yeah, it's the first season under the belt on this podcast. Full season.
The podcast was great.
Yeah,
I had a lot of fun. And Miz, thanks for joining me week in, week out. We only missed a couple weeks. The season
Arsenal. It's been super fun. It's been super fun. Our whole thing that we do. The Gunners have not performed the way that we have performed on the podcast, I'd say.
We cleaned our side of the street.
We did. I don't feel like they held up their end.
Yeah.
But
a hard job.
Yeah.
We have to watch. They have the easy thing. They get to play and get paid millions of dollars for it.
Right? I'd rather their position, actually. That's the
I agree to that.
Yeah, totally. I'll show up a little bit more than they did. What a weird season. It feels like it lasted forever.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess that's COVID. I guess the time with COVID in general seems to have changed. But
where were we at in the world on the first game of the season to where we're at now?
Yeah.
Seems like different decades.
Things weren't the same. Now it's starting to feel a little more normal again. I mean, there was fans in the stands today, 10,000 at Arsenal.
There's fans all of a sudden. We're talking about opening everything up. It's hard to, when a prolonged thing that sucks ends, it's almost hard to remember it. You're just kind of like, whatever,
Yeah, totally. I mean, because we started in August last year or September. It was like around that time. The season's September.
Yeah, I think, or last weekend of August, something like that.
Yeah. So, I mean, a little bit weirder of a start, but we've done this for almost a year now. It's a long time. So, and a lot has changed at Arsenal. We were hopeful from the beginning of the season to jubilant at stages, to fury at other portions.
Yeah. Typical Arsenal season, I guess. Except we're trending downward the table, which is not. Where did we finish last year? 8th?
Yeah, I think it's like about the same.
And so we ended 8th again. I think we probably had about the same number of points.
Yeah, it wasn't great, I'm looking 20, 21, the table where we landed. We're 8th on 61 points.
Was that last year or this year?
That's this is this year.
Let's do 1920.
When did they? Yeah, 1920.
We were 8th on 56 points. So
a few points better.
Well, you know how we had a better season than last year? Because we won the last 5 games. We had five wins in a row. That does a lot for you. 5 wins.
I don't know why they weren't trying to piece it together. It's so frustrating. We literally almost made it into Europe today, into the bogey competition that they've added into the non-conference. We by default, not even thinking that we'd be able to, almost made it in today. And if they would have just exerted a little bit more dominance in certain games, three other wins, like that's it. We're like batting up near Champions League at that point. It's like, dude, you guys just. It's not like they don't have the players. I mean, Pepe now looks like he's found some form. Seriously. Hopefully he can carry that into next season, because he's scoring at will now.
He's looking like he has that comfort when you have the ball that you're not second guessing yourself anymore. He's going out there and just doing his thing, and he's confident that, give me the ball. I'm not going to plan it beforehand, but I'm going to make something happen. Finally.
Great solo goals.
Yeah, starting, stopping, but people were denying Pepe, had a lack of faith in Pepe, but I always liked him. I always rated
Yeah,
him.
me too. And I think he's a good one for the future. I think he's going to grow into that role a little bit better. He'll get even more comfortable next season. They actually have like the only really great thing I'm looking forward to next season is actually have a full preseason finally, and a break. Like a lot of them are going to get a break. I think there'll be a lot of movement at Arsenal. I think there's a lot of players on the way out, and they're going to make. I mean, who knows? I mean, it's still frustrating. We still got Kroenke in. They're not going to sell right now. They're not going to get rid of it. And I think we just have to make do with what we have, unfortunately. And it's annoying. As a fan, we're going to have to you don't want to want them to do terrible, because then you'll just never watch it ever again. And you also don't want them to do great, because then the Kroenkes are going to stay. This is weird.
Yeah.
This weird limbo portion.
Like at Chelsea, I feel like if you have a bad season, that season they finished 10th or whatever, you had full confidence that Abramovich next year was just going to flush out the entire squad.
Yeah.
Get
new manager,
whoever the top striker is in La Liga or Bundesliga or Serie A is going to come here, and you just know it's going to happen. But with Arsenal, it's like you almost know whatever it is, it's going to be the most annoying outcome. Whatever is going to be the least intuitive and the least successful outcome, that's what's going to happen. Really worried that we're going to see Xhaka and Bellerin starting the first game of next season. I just have this feeling that that's what's going to happen.
I hope that's not the case. I think I could actually see both of them leaving now. I mean, I definitely Bellerin. Bellerin has not played for a while. He seems to be on the fringes. He's definitely lost his position. Xhaka, I'm seeing reports of Xhaka leaving the last week. We'll see how that comes.
I saw something that he responded to it. He's like, no, I'm very happy here and I have a contract. And he's talking as if he's like Harry Kane or something.
Don't they always say that though? I feel like all the players say that, I'm happy, I have my family settled here. And I don't think that fucking matters. Of course, that matters, but he even seems to be a little bit on the fringe. I don't know. I just hope that they aggressively go after changing the team this summer. Maybe. I mean, one thing's for certain, I don't think Arteta is going anywhere right now at all. I think he's there to stay for a while. Hopefully he can make some better decisions. And if he gets different personnel, maybe he'll start managing the team a little differently, like he was last season. I don't know where he went wrong in this season in certain junctures. I think he came in a little bit fresher last season, but had a little bit better ideas and had a little bit more behind him. I
think maybe he saw what happens when you actually have a season and you have your plans, and then the first day of the season someone gets hurt, and then you're just like, okay, there goes my plan.
Yep, that's gone. Yep.
But speaking of which, what grade would you give Arteta for this season? He had a full season, uninterrupted. What grade would you give him?
Like a C- or a D. I mean, it's not. I mean, we didn't get into Europe. You can't commend any of those accolades. We didn't win any trophies. We didn't get to the Europa League final. I think that's a big. I think he would have graded higher if he would have gotten up. I mean,
to the final.
Yeah, well, nothing happened this season. Like if you look at it.
Below Tottenham.
Yeah, it won't be memorable. It'll be memorable in the sense that it was COVID and that we were fucking terrible.
Yeah, how many losses? We had 13 losses. 13 losses, dude.
That's a terrible stat.
7 draws, so 20 games where we didn't win in a season.
Yeah, that's not great.
Winning more.
I mean, I wouldn't rate him as an F, because that would have been relegation. We would have been out. And
there were definitely games that we balled, and you saw.
Yeah.
I still think the first half against Wolves, when we ended up losing and David Luiz got a red card, I felt like finally we were seeing the team that we wanted to see.
Yeah, totally.
Then there was the West Brom where we beat them 4-0 and destroyed them. We have these past 5 games where the the quality has been up and down, but you're like, well, we're winning these games, you know, and we're winning the games we should win. We did the double over Chelsea. We also did the double loss over Aston Villa. So I would say C- as well. That's what I was thinking.
Yeah.
It was, and more so the thing about Arteta that worries me is the way he makes substitutions, the way he makes formations, you know, like the results are kind of up and down, but you feel like with that squad of players, I could be the manager and just pick players from that list of available players that we have. And you could easily finish, you know, with 13 losses and 7 draws, you know?
It's interesting. I was at my parents' on Mother's Day, and they used to watch games with me all the time back when I used to live with them. And my mom is a huge Arteta fan. My mom thinks Arteta is like very good looking. She just loves him. They both were very much like, this guy never fucking smiles or never looks happy. They're winning here, and like show a little bit of like happiness for them that they're even winning. I know that the season hasn't gone the way you wanted. You're frustrated about Europe. They just got knocked out, but like they're, you know, you got to move on to the next game and reset. And like those, we often forget they're still like, a lot of the players are like young men that are, their minds are being shaped daily. And like, he has a role to play. I don't know. It was just interesting to hear my parents like ragging on this dude that they liked for so long, that he just,
it's interesting to see people who don't watch it as closely as we do to get their reaction, because you feel like in a way it's more honest because they don't have such a stake in it. You know, they're not biased, and they look and see, they're just like, they sense that something's not right as well.
Yeah. It's a shame. I mean, I'll go back to this. Like, I think that Arteta will be a very good manager at some point. I think that he's okay right now. I would like him to go move on if we were bought by someone else. I just don't think it's going to happen. So at this point, I hope he figures it out fast enough. I hope he starts to develop quickly enough as a manager and a player manager that he can actually become better too, because we need it at the club. Like,
if we go 2-3 in the first 5 games next season and he gets sacked, then
what?
We're still at this point where sacked, and the longer we go, the more time we've wasted.
Yeah. Because they're not going to make the right decision with the Cronkies in place. Like, I think with them at the helm, and you sack Arteta, like, what then? You bring in someone else that it's just a completely different crapshoot and a movement. I feel like if we were to get taken over and a clear vision was put down, like trying to find the Arsenal DNA, like they've said that they want to do, that's a different type of like movement towards something. If they were to change the managers, you think they'd have some systematic approach to it. I think right now it's just throwing fucking anything at it to keep it afloat.
Well, I mean, that's what the whole season felt like. It seemed like Arteta was just throwing out whoever was fit enough to play a certain minutes. And maybe I really, really love to hear a candid take from him on what happened in the season, because I have a feeling that a lot of our basic gripes, he'd be like, well, it's easy to say that, but so-and-so literally could not play, this play all the time. And you don't know what it's like in the locker room where you're going up to him and he's just like, no, I can't play. I'm sure there's so many things like that. But at the same time, it's like, you just look at the players and no one got better over the season. Maybe Pepe did, but Pepe ended on an uptick, but I don't know too many other players that did.
Emile Smith-Rowe, he balled today. He always looks dangerous. I think one thing about him is like, he's going to be with us for a bit. He's not the kind of player that's going to go leave. I wouldn't think.
Yeah.
We have I think there's some positives from the season. I think it sucks because we're not where we want to be at all. And obviously we're not even close to, we didn't qualify for Europe. This is the first time we're like fully out of it.
We pretty much stayed where we're at and just a little bit low. We didn't go down a whole level.
Yeah.
At one point in the season, we were down a full level worse, but we ended up being just slightly worse than where we were last year, which is that's not a good sign,
Maybe it'll help us next year without playing in Europe, without the extra games. I mean, one thing's for sure is we have a lot more energy. They'll have a lot more energy.
So much less traveling, so much less tinkering with the lineup. Maybe he can settle on a starting 11, which is another major criticism I have of him was you
We
never
don't know who it
knew
is.
who was gonna play, you know?
Yeah.
And then even like Aubameyang was like a starter for like these last 5 games and he didn't play well. He had a terrible season, just flat out. I
Yeah.
don't really blame him. I still love Aubameyang.
Yeah. And there's a lot of talk. I mean, he had malaria, and I was listening to a lot of people talk about it. Apparently, it could take you like 5 months to get all the way better.
Yeah.
You're just like never the same. Like for a bit, like you feel off.
Even
People,
having and they're like, okay, you tested negative. Okay, go back and play 90. You're like,
yeah.
You get the flu even, and then you imagine playing a 90-minute game at the highest level, and when you have the flu, you're like, I can't even freaking walk to the refrigerator right now.
Yeah, totally.
So
yeah,
but he had a howler of a season.
He did.
Arteta, I don't think helped matters.
I think he tried to show it's you can see, like, I think if you like look at what Arteta's trying to do, you can see that he's trying to like grow into his managerial role, show some dominance, be like, I'm not going to take any of your fucking shit. And then like also has a hard time balancing that because they're like it's probably really hard. I mean, we don't know. I don't know. We're not around egotistical pro footballers that those dudes know how good they are. Though they know how good they are. They know in training how good they are. They know that if they were to go to other teams, they'd be good. Managing those type of personalities sometimes is
not easy.
It's not easy.
Well, it helps like Pep if you have 3 players of equal quality in every position. So if someone wants to talk back to you,
you're like, sorry.
Confidently be like, go fuck yourself, you're benched, because you have another player right behind who's just as good at chomping at the bit. But with Arsenal, it's a little bit different, even though
you have Ceballos behind Xhaka.
Yeah. I mean, we do have Lacazette, and another thing that worries me about Arteta is that there are some key players who I think are some of our better players who flat out got wasted this season.
Yeah.
Lacazette, I think, seeing Pepe's performance at the end of the season and him playing consistently in the league, he was at the top of the list for a while, but I think he kind of saved his season at the end. And now I would say Lacazette and Martinelli, which are 2 players that when you're looking at our squad, they're right up there at the top. When you're comparing them to Ceballos, Xhaka, El Neni, Bellerin, Holding, we have some real crap players that you just see on the field and you're just like, oh man, Lacazette is not one of those.
No, not at all. I mean,
he performed when he got a chance. And overall, Arteta could never find a way to put Laka, Abba, and Pepe on at the same time. And I feel
which I don't understand. I don't understand that.
The entire midfield and defense, so they're basically hung out to dry. He hangs players out to dry constantly. He put Partey on with no one else in midfield, hangs them out to dry. He puts Aubameyang as a left forward or as a center mid or a center forward where he's going to get absolutely zero service and then expects him to what? Just get the ball and dribble 5 people and score,
Yeah.
Martinelli couldn't get PT no matter how many goals he scored.
Never. I mean, he even scored a goal last the other day. It was a great goal.
Yeah, he had 2 goals and 1 assist in the past 5 games.
Yeah.
And still only gets on in the last 5 minutes. Like never even thought of as a starter, which is mind-boggling. And then also you have the instance of Joe Willock, who played 12 games for Newcastle, scored 8 goals.
Is that? I always wonder this though. Like, would he do that at Arsenal?
Absolutely not, because first of all, he would ride the bench.
Yeah.
While he would come in and he would play
In a
either
different
right
position.
midfielder, right midfield, or maybe he's left midfield, or maybe he's a center midfield one game. And then
however Newcastle is using him is obviously working for him. So like if you were him, wouldn't you be like, dude, I'm gonna stay here?
Yeah, I think so. They said the last person to score 7 goals in 7 games was
Alan Shearer.
Yeah.
I know. And the fans were chanting live the other day, like they want him to stay, and he was like listening. I mean, dude, you haven't really gotten a chance at Arsenal.
And
you're like balling there, like might as well go there.
I don't know where we would put him. I don't know where Arteta would put him, and I have no confidence that he would come in and do what he did for Newcastle for Arsenal.
Totally. And I don't think that they're even thinking about his future. I mean, here's the thing is we have Odegaard loan ending now. Ceballos is going back. Will they talk about Odegaard? Even the announcer today was talking about Buendia. I mean, they're obviously going to go for somebody in the middle that has some type of name that they can have a showmanship around. Like we don't have that kind of center midfielder at the moment. Like, I mean,
we desperately need
we do. We need like a marquee signing in the middle. That's a CAM. I mean, I don't know if Odegaard's the person. Maybe he could grow into the role. I mean, he's done, like he had a great assist the other day. At moments, he has great glimpses. I like his attitude. Could we do better?
I don't know where he fits, and if you have Flick and Odegaard, for example, playing at the same time, I don't know what they do. And I think that's a fault of Arteta as well. There's a lot of players out there who I'm like, I don't know what you do. And you watch them get the ball and they're not sure what they're supposed to do. I mean, there was that they were always second guessing themselves when they had the ball because they're like, oh, he wants us to do this. And I don't know, wait, how do I do that? Wait, I got to change my body position. Like they just looked uncomfortable. And the flow of play was dismal at probably 80% of the time. I mean,
never. If you're just look about the speed of play at which Man City play in comparison to what Arsenal's playing with right now, I mean, there's no comparison. Like,
or even like Leicester.
Yeah.
I mean, they get the ball, they pass it into the dangerous area. They make the penetrating move instantly. Like that's just what good teams do. You just look and you see the most penetrating pass, you do that quickly. And we get the ball, go forward, we slam the brakes, we turn around and pass it back. That's our style. And you have to.
It's so slow now too.
Yeah.
And just, I mean, we definitely look off the paces in comparison to the top teams. So they need to get their fitness up over the summer. Hopefully they give them a little break and then they get right back at it. A lot of them aren't playing in the Euros. None of them are even going to qualify for their teams, most of them. Yeah. So, I mean, Tierney, I know Tierney's one of them. Bernd Leno's probably one that might be on the German squad.
Yeah, he'll be.
Saka might make the England team.
Yeah, probably won't play though.
And Odegaard on Norway. I don't know who else is playing.
Yeah. Ceballos isn't going to make the Spanish team.
No way.
Neither is Bellerin.
Hell no. Holding won't make England. Gabriel doesn't play in it.
Yeah.
Emile Smith-Rowe will make the under 23s for that. Is there a tournament?
Who knows? Probably, maybe.
Yeah.
Nketiah will play in the U21s.
Yeah.
I mean, that's another thing. Like, remember Nketiah? Remember?
He didn't even get a look towards the end.
Yeah, and when he did, granted, he didn't play well, but it's like
you give him 10 minutes at a time, though. He comes on at like 80 minutes. What do you expect him to do in 10 minutes?
I know, and also when a player is not playing well, that's when he gives them the chance. It's like, no, like give the player a chance who just scored, not the player who gets the ball and can't find his rhythm because you keep putting him in with only 10 minutes left to go.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I think we have to make a clear decision on Lacazette. If you're going to play him the way you did this year, he's way more valuable to the club selling him for 30 million
right now
than having him languish. There's all these players that just kind of languish.
Well, that's the thing is, like, if Lacazette went to like a League One team, he's going to score so many goals.
Yeah, he'll go to France or La Liga
and just bury it.
I could see him going to Germany, you know.
Yeah.
Italy, like
because he's gotten better at Arsenal than before when he even came from Lyon. So like he now has a real innate ability to score in all different situations. In a lower league, like, he would dominate.
Yeah, it's an utter shame what's happened. I don't know why it seemed like Arteta would rather give his left nut than to play a 4-4-2 with Alba and Laka in the middle. Like, it's just like, no, I'll never do it. I don't care. It can't even be like the Bergkamp Henry where like Lacazette is playing a little bit and, you know.
Yeah.
Like, just no, it's not possible. I mean, they're best friends. You know that they would understand where they like the ball. I could see them both giving assists to each other.
Totally.
But you know, no, we're not going to try that. We're going to try a false nine with Emile Smith-Rowe as a false nine in our most important match of the season. You know, it's stuff like that you're like, no, it's okay. It's
those decisions are just really bad.
Like, why can you not play a 4-4-2?
Mm-hmm.
Just give me one good reason, you know?
Yeah. It'll be interesting to see. It'll be interesting to see the ins and the outs this summer. I mean, yesterday I saw David Luiz said goodbye to everybody in the locker room, and I keep seeing stuff about Willian leaving. I don't think Willian's going to hang around. I mean, he did nothing. I mean, you can't say that it was a successful season and that he should even warrant like being in it. If you were him, I don't know. I almost feel like he's not even an Arsenal player in general. He went from Chelsea. He barely played. He was terrible every time he was on the field. If it were me, I would just be like, you know what? I'm going to go to the MLS and not have to deal with any of this and go actually be good somewhere. And
in PE, when there's like two teams and then the coach is like, hey, you go on this team first for a little bit, you know? Like,
no one wants you. Like,
but like he was wearing an Arsenal shirt. I don't think there's a single Arsenal fan that is like, you know what? Willian. When you think of all the players who can't get a look in, like fucking Lacazette and Martinelli, like there's so much, they're in a different world than Willian. Like, why Willian was even, it seemed like Arteta just had to like, no, I have this idea and I'm going to try to make it work. And it's like, well, why is your idea Willian in the first place?
Yeah, it's not a good idea. It's not a good idea. He's like, he did nothing. He did absolutely fuck all.
Like, why did Willian get more of a chance than Willian?
Like he scored he got 3 assists in his first game and literally did nothing else the entire rest of the season.
Scored a free kick, which was almost like,
oh yeah, he did finally score.
I mean, Xhaka also scored a free kick this year. So I mean, you know, Xhaka also deserves to be given a raise because he scored a kick.
Just watching Xhaka today, he just like, God, he's just so bad. He just is like not a good football player.
No. The defense that he gets from the fan base, well, it becomes this thing where it's like, now all of a sudden it's, do you like Xhaka or do you not like Xhaka? You know, do you like Bellerin or do you not like Bellerin? And it's like, that's not the question. The question is the team playing well or not? And are we putting forth the best lineup?
Yeah.
It gets stuck on this thing as if it's like a personal attack. And we've been on it. We've mentioned that so many times all season because it's like, you're looking at it and you're like, why is Martinelli not playing but fucking Jack is playing?
Yeah.
Oh, this has nothing to do. Things they play this and that. It's like, well, the format is fucked then, you know?
This isn't a personality contest. This is like, it's about football and about
I mean, we're talking about the dude who said fuck you to the fans, threw on the ground because he was pissed because he was the captain and then he got subbed because he was so bad. Like, it's just ridiculous from start to finish.
So juvenile.
Yeah, like, why are we having this conversation? But there's a decent chance we will continue to have the conversation because
I could see him not leaving. I'll see Bellerin leaving. I could see Xhaka staying still.
And it holds us back because we need dynamic players in every position. You look at City, there's not a position where someone's job is to just get the ball and pass it and make sure that you don't mess up, make sure you don't turn the ball over, that you have one job, dude, like trap the ball and pass the ball, a 5-yard pass without giving up a breakaway.
You think Arteta would have that knowledge as well coming from City. He knows that team.
And he knows too that every position is extremely valuable. If you have one player on the field who is not doing a lot, then you're falling behind.
Totally. Yeah, no, I mean, and you're right. Like we have players like that are just middle players like Xhaka, get the ball, just like never run with the ball, never pick up the ball and run with the ball.
No.
God forbid. Yeah.
You saw Xhaka get the ball and make a 10-yard run with it.
And you look at Man City, I mean, they got Foden, Bernardo, Gundogan, De Bruyne. All of those dudes pick up the ball in the middle and run with the ball through the middle of the field.
Yeah, how many times was De Bruyne not even playing because he was injured or something? And it
didn't matter.
You forget you're naming them, and then you're like, oh wait, yeah, they also have KDB. Like, holy shit, probably the best center midfield in the world, you know?
Yeah.
Like Gundogan moves with the ball, passes. He can play 1-2s. He can play through balls. He can cross it. He scores goals. That's Gundogan. And if you ask people, he might be like their 4th best center midfield.
Yeah, he didn't even get a starting position for a really long time.
Yeah, and when he did, he had a run where he scored like 6 goals.
Yeah.
I don't think we had 6 goals in our entire midfield combined. That's another thing too. It's like at the end of the day, some stats do matter. Like if you're locked in at the center mid position and you have 0 goals and 0 assists, or you have 1 goal and 0 assists, or 1 goal and 1 assist or something, that means you didn't do fuck all the entire season.
Totally. Yeah. I mean, you got to hand it to Pep Guardiola at Man City, especially like this season, managing that team through. They had a bad start. Remember, at one point they were
12th.
Yeah, they were not doing well, and now they just look pure.
They caught their form, and they caught the Man City form. They caught their best form.
Dude, they're probably that's probably the best Man City team that they've ever had at this juncture.
Yeah, and they're at a point, they've achieved that Man United level where now, like, any position that leaves, or any player that leaves or wants to leave or retires or is just naturally moving on, now it's just they look at it and they're like, who should we fill that role with? Like, we have Aguero's leaving. Well, let's get Harry Kane. It's like they have their pick of the world strikers.
Oh yeah, or Haaland.
Yeah, it's like a matter of Haaland. And if they're like, oh, Haaland is too expensive or he wants to go to Real Madrid, then we're going to get a proven Golden Boot winner in the EPL, Harry Kane. And if you hear that Pep wants you, your head is turned no matter who you play for.
Totally.
Play for Real Madrid and start. If Pep Guardiola, just like Ferguson, if Ferguson wanted you, how many players said no to Ferguson? Really?
Yeah.
It didn't really happen. So and at least during Ferguson's time, there was Arsenal and Chelsea who
they got frozen there. Still there? You still there? Cool.
Yeah.
I think we had a little bandwidth issue. You were saying about Chelsea.
Chelsea and Arsenal would challenge Man U back then, you know,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
now there's not really a
We're
team.
not we're not even in the, I mean, I think that really a thing that we don't ever even discuss, which sucks, and that it is even this way, is as Arsenal supporters, we aren't even in the talk of the top players in general anymore. We don't I mean, we had a team, we're the only team to ever gone undefeated in the Premier League season as the Invincibles. We were in European competitions for 23 years straight, you know, always in Champions League, like 18 years straight. I mean, we're not even trying to get the top caliber players anymore.
No.
We are now in a second tier of that, if not even the third tier of that.
I'd have to say third tier, because we're talking about Dia, and that's like a hope. He's a championship
player. of like a 30 million Buendia probably.
And that's a hope where, you know,
you hope that they let him go.
Well, whoever we are interested in, it almost becomes this thing like where you feel like it's not going to happen because it's happened so many times that now whoever we look at, it almost feels like they're probably going to be like, they're going to ask for more money, or they're going to say no, or
which I don't understand. Which is like, why does the Cronkies just get the fuck out then on that? Because like, obviously they're saying that they don't have a money issue and that they can afford to do this, and like every year it's the same song and dance that they don't have the money to do it. Like at some point, just like let somebody else go do it. Let somebody else.
They're straight up liars. You know,
they are,
because they say in the beginning of the window we have money, and then at the end of the window we don't have money.
Yeah.
They say that Arsene Wenger never asked for any money. You know, and then you be like, well, we wanted to buy Suarez and we didn't. You know,
and now what? Stan's saying there's the 120 that he's given for them to spend this year. That's what they've said. But like, I doubt that.
I mean, we've heard, I don't know where those numbers come from, you know, and I've never heard him actually say it, that we have 100, I'm going to give you 120 million to spend.
Yeah, it's always like in a news report or something them saying it. Like I never,
supposedly we had 200 a while ago. We've never spent that much. We haven't spent, when was the last time we spent 100 million, you know, like, and even so, when we do, it's like, well, you spent 100 million on the wrong players, or you
they spent 100 million when they bought Pepe. They spent 72 on him, and then they spent the rest on players that summer. And they blew the whole 100 on like 3 players
who now don't play for us anymore.
Yeah.
You know, who are those players? It was like Torreira.
Yeah.
Guendouzi.
Yeah. That's who it was. That was that year.
I think.
Yep.
Which were some eventually good buys, you know, but ultimately it's like, it's always
they make the wrong decision a lot of the time on like what to do with players' contracts and how they manage all that.
Yeah. And we need to sell players, because we're the only thing we're worse at than buying players is selling players. You know, like you need to make a decision. Make a decision about Lacazette. The way he performed and the way that Arteta used him, he needs to be sold flat out, because there's players that are coming up. We just fought to keep Balogun. He's not even on the bench. You know, like we have players, we can't have 16 center forwards, you know, all fighting for a position and all fighting for, when we only play with one center forward, you know, like, get rid of some. Then if you want to play with only one center forward, then sell like 4 center forward, sell Nketiah, sell Lacazette. As much as I like them both, I like a lot of these players. I would even say, you know, like, why did you renew Aubameyang's contract?
Aubameyang, totally. I was gonna say that. Like, why
Aubameyang? But like, have some sort of systematic way of dealing with players. You know, now you have a bottleneck we have bottlenecks at like 3 positions, and then we have 0 right backs. You know?
Yeah, it's the Aubameyang one. I agree with too. Is like what we reward a new deal when he's already at the tail end of his like career and pretty much put a bunch of pressure on him at a higher age with a bunch more money, hoping that he continues to net the ball every season.
And
I think progressively it's going to get harder for him.
Yeah, and he responded having his worst season of his career.
Yeah. I mean, Ozil did the same. Did we not learn from the Ozil situation? It's like
don't offer players marquee contracts when they're already over 30. Arsenal had a policy that you didn't get one year. Only after 30. And then we go through offering 3-4-year contracts with max money at 30. Like, come on, it's a tough decision, but like, and I love Aubameyang. Like, he's one of the few players that gives you that old school Arsenal feel.
Yeah.
You know, but like some sort of grand plan would have been, nice to see. And if he would have been like, you know what? It sucks, but we're selling Aubameyang now to Barcelona for 40 million. We're buying War,
Like it would have made sense.
Timing is the most important thing in the transfer market.
Yep.
We get a War, and then we have a center midfield, and then we play better, and you fix the problems that you have right now instead of waiting until next season. Then you just have a new set of problems, and it's harder to deal with the players you already have.
Totally.
Circumstances start piling up. Like, you got to address the situation. That's what I was saying about like Man City and Man United with Ferguson, is like they got it to the point where their timing was so on point where it's like, okay, Aguero leaves, we're going to get Kane, just 1-for-1 changes.
Well, you know what Man City is going to do this summer. They're going to strengthen.
Which is scary.
Aguero's leaving, and they'll probably make a few other changes in other areas that we didn't even know that they needed, that Pep knows that they need.
Yeah.
And they're going to add quality.
They already bought like 4 Brazilian kids.
Yeah. So they're
moving on to where they're like looking past,
5 years. No, and we don't even do that anymore. We don't like, I mean, we have good youth, but I don't see like a plan within the next 3 years to get back in. Like, first of all, we need to get back into Europe next year. They have to get in the top 4. That has to be the aim next year.
Yeah.
If that's not the aim, what are they doing? So without the Europe places, like, you have to perform and get into them. So they need to strengthen the team this summer, and they need to get rid of all the players. If we have to get into that top 4, look at the teams that are in there right now. I mean, we beat Chelsea twice. They're in there.
Yeah.
We beat Man United once. They're good.
Too. They're talking about getting Lewandowski or Holland, or
or Kane. Kane's linked with Chelsea too.
Yeah,
I could see Kane going to Chelsea or City.
Yeah, I think City is just
or United, I guess.
I mean, and also look at United. They're in talks to buy maybe Kane, Jadon Sancho, and Rafael Varane from Real Madrid. If they get rid of Lindelof and put in Varane with Maguire, and they have Pogba, Rashford, and Jadon Sancho. Jadon Sancho's sick.
He's great. He's great. Yeah. He's amazing. And he's English, and he'll come back to the Premier League. And, he's
front. And Cavani has been Cavani
scored goal this season the other day for me.
Yeah, that chip.
Oh my God!
Chip. It was a strike, like a
He on the first touch, just like pure class. That was like pure class.
United could take a whole level step up next year.
Yeah, they're going to be good. I mean, Leicester's still going to be good.
Yeah, why would
West Ham now has extra money because they're in the Europa League?
Yeah. Then the teams behind us still are still going to be tough.
Yeah.
Like, we need to strengthen majorly.
We need like 5 players. Like five like quality players. Like in general.
What do we need, and who do you get?
Well, I liked Juan Basuma today on Brighton. I think he looks like a quality right back to take the place. and we've been linked with him. I
Yeah.
think that's a good one. He looked like he'd fit into our team pretty well.
Yeah. I would definitely take Buendia.
Buendia, yeah, I think Buendia would be good
for Norwich.
Yeah.
He's proven in the English game. We need
Yeah.
a midfielder like him.
Yeah. Would you take Odegaard? Would you keep him back, or would you just let him? It's going to be expensive. I think it's a loan deal.
Yeah, I didn't see enough of him on the ball, enough of what he did. He's a good player. He wouldn't be a bad player, but I think Willett could do what he did. You know what I mean? I think.
Yeah, I don't see Wonder Kid stuff that they were talking about.
No, he didn't look really comfortable, with the formation, or he didn't really know what his job was. No,
I think Emil Smith Rowe is better in that position.
1,000%. And we don't need to be spending 50 million on Odegaard. If Odegaard becomes this marquee signing that we get, and they're like, see, we told you, we got the players that you guys love and blah, blah, blah. It's like, that would be exactly the player that we should not get.
Yeah. Well, I mean, and like, look, we need someone to go with Partey and help him in the middle. I mean, he actually played all right today and almost scored a couple times. Finally hit the crossbar.
Yeah. He was like,
had a banger from, you could see that he was like, I need to try to spur this along better.
Yeah. He was languishing, but that's just how many players can you say that about? Languishing, hung out to dry, kind of unsure about themselves, not sure what they're doing, not making, it's too slow, but it's like, dude, I watch Arsenal play. The person who has the ball, they look up and they just don't see any red shirts.
They're not moving right.
There's no one to pass to. The movement off the ball is terrible.
Yeah.
How many times people get to the byline and cross it, and the center forward, you're playing with one center forward. That means you need to be on the penalty spot when there's a cross every single time. And you see them and they're like standing on the 18, as if and not even running, or like, you need to be at the near post every single time. You need to be someone to be picked out in case someone like Bellerin just puts his head down, closes his eyes, says a Hail Mary and kicks it toward the goal.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes you're right, there's no movement off the ball. Sometimes there's just there's no one making those like decisive runs, those through runs, like no space being created throughout the field. And
can you name one goal we scored this season off of a counterattack?
Probably not off the top of my head, because it probably doesn't really happen very much.
I think Partey had that one through ball to, I think,
Aubameyang.
And that was the only time I ever saw a midfielder play through ball that ended up being a goal. I don't know if that was when attack, but
that was when we were actually like finding some form at that time, and then they really dropped off.
Yeah, and then I think it was Laka who scored, and then he promptly got benched for that.
Of course.
This pattern of benching players after they score goals is fucking infuriating, dude. I'm losing patience with it. I've lost complete patience with it. Like, it's a team that is hungry for quality, and then you produce quality and you get benched is like, he's holding to these formations that don't work, but then he's willing to stick to them because it's like, oh, well, I already have this formation and there's only one striker, so I have to put Aubameyang because he's the captain. It's like, okay, well, you're going by your theoretical formation over what just happened in a game.
Yeah.
It's frustrating.
It is. I hope some things are different next season. I'm happy that it's over right now. I think it's not many times that it gets to the end of the season and I'm like happy that it's over, but I'm happy that this one ended.
Does it feel like it almost feel like coronavirus happened this season?
Yeah, I don't know.
I feel like a real season.
Maybe next year we'll have a glimmer of normality for the season. I mean, we had 10,000 fans today. give it 3 more months. We're in May, August. When August rolls around, I'm guessing that a lot of the UK will be vaccinated, and there'll be some more fans that return. That is going to change. Today, the 10,000 fans that were there today probably changed all those games a little bit.
Totally. It's a different game. Like,
yeah,
we got used to watching games with no fans, and like I stopped noticing it really. But like,
yeah, same.
It was when it first happened. Remember how
it was weird? I almost didn't want to watch it. It was weird. It was like, this sucks.
Yeah. So it's gonna make a difference, but it's also gonna make a difference for every other team too.
Yeah.
So
No, yeah, totally. I mean, I think in general, I think for the leagues, I think it's helpful to have some fans back and be having something different. But they need to strengthen heavily. You're not wrong. I think who knows how much validity is to the Leno stuff, whether we have to get a new goalkeeper.
Keep Matt Ryan, I'd say.
Yeah, we definitely still need another goalkeeper. The really frustrating thing is that Emi Martinez got keeper of the season. And like, dude,
I know it hurts.
We just might have a curse on us or something.
Well, and it's hard to say because I wasn't necessarily against selling him because Leno is good and he made some mistakes, but he also made a lot of saves again this year too.
Oh yeah,
he's a top quality keeper, and you have 2 of them. What do? You have to sell one of them essentially.
Totally.
It was a hard situation, but it just goes to overall team management is so poor when we have 2 starting keepers. Well, you only have 1 keeper that can start. We have like 4 starting center forwards, but we play a formation where there's only 1 center forward.
I know.
We have 0 right backs. We have 1 left back who's injury prone and don't have someone behind him.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Like, we have 0 center midfielders. Like, why do we have 2 goalkeepers that are good and start?
Well, we have 4. We have 4 goalkeepers. And we have 4 of them now. We have Runnerson, and there's some other dude that's like there. I don't remember the other guy's name.
I mean, I think Runnerson needs to start as center.
as forward.
We should just sub him in for corners and then sub him out.
Because that's what a joke it is anyway.
Oh, poor Runnerson.
I know, poor guy. So, well, we'll be back. We're going to do this again, season 2, right?
Season 2
of the. We'll be back for what? We should start like before the Premier League kicks off. How it's starting to shape up.
A couple transfer episodes, maybe 1 or 2 during the summer to kind of do where we're at with transfers.
Yeah.
I mean, the window is open right now, isn't it? Or
is it?
It's open.
It should open as soon as the season ends. As soon as kickoff is the game ends, I feel like the window should open immediately, and like teams should just start going for it.
In the stadium, the window has now opened.
Like, make it just way more spectacular.
What I was saying earlier too, it's like, other teams are like, well, we already have an agreement that the coach is leaving and we have a new coach, and you're like, well, the window isn't open.
Yeah. So how do you have an agreement?
You're doing it because it's a verbal agreement. Like, get the ball. Yeah. When you have as much work as we need to do, it would have been nice to say, like, we've already talked to Ben Dia. We've already talked to Norwich. As soon as the transfer window opens, we're going to give him $40 million. He's an Arsenal player. We're going to have him the entire summer instead of getting him after the first game of the season, like what we did.
I know.
It's such a fucking joke. If you're going to pay the release clause and you don't even have to deal with Atletico.
I mean, Thomas Partey got a winner's medal for winning the league at Atletico. Did you know that?
Did he really?
Yeah. He played 3 games. He gets a winner's medal.
It's ridiculous. Like, why is that happening? And you know what? That fucked his entire season because he started off weird and then he got injured and then he never really got sorted out again. Like timing is everything in a season.
Totally. I don't know why they're not trying to have them like for the first training session. That dude needs to be there from day one. Like so he gets to know his friends and
you're going to be the new Vieira center mid, defensive center mid, but we're going to bring you in the fourth game of the season when we've been playing a 3-4-3 and you know we need you to jump in and then we're going to change the format so no one else on the team is going to be comfortable. But
that was one of the better decisions the Premier League started to do a few years ago is when coronavirus changed things, I think, but when the window had to close before the season started. That's legit.
Yeah. It makes no sense to be playing one game for Liverpool or one game for Arsenal, and then you get sold to Liverpool like Oxlade, you know? And then, of course, we know he's going to go to Liverpool, but what do? We bench Lacazette and play Oxlade Chamberlain. You know what I mean? It's just like...
Yeah.
But...
Well, that brings a wrap to season 1 of Arsenal chats with ROONS and MIZZ. It was fun.
Yeah, dude. Yeah. It was a crazy season up and down, but it was fun talking about it. It
totally
like to be able to vent with somebody. I know a lot of people like the Arsenal fan base is torn because a certain faction says that you shouldn't ever complain or you should always love your team and blah blah blah. But it's nice to have someone to talk to about just how you honestly feel. I don't hate Arsenal, you know, but there's a lot of problems and hopefully we can remedy some of them next season.
Totally. We commiserate together on it, whether it's joyfully or I mean, we're both on the same page a lot of time. Like I can't, even today, like it's not often you want your team to lose, but sometimes you.
I did not want. I don't know what the Conference League even is.
No, like, but I don't want to be in it.
I don't want that. You know,
it's almost embarrassing.
It's embarrassing, but it's also like the whole point about it is we need less games so that younger players can build up their fitness and we don't have all these injuries and we can just focus on the league.
Totally.
That's how you rebuild. You don't rebuild by being halfway in and out of like 3 different conference division and blah, blah, blah. Because we need to solidify starting 11 that can play pretty much every game now. You know, like maybe you put in your second string keeper for the FA Cup and League Cup. But I mean, half the season we played with two different teams.
Now we'll actually be able to play like a full strength team.
Hopefully.
In theory,
so, that's the idea. Yeah, and we don't need to be playing in Europe where we didn't deserve to be in the final. You know, we didn't deserve to be in the Champions League. You know, if you don't have a legitimate shot of going deep, you shouldn't be there, and we didn't deserve it. So we need to start over and then earn it back and do it the right way.
Totally.
And truly rebuild.
I'm looking forward to it. I hope that it'll be an interesting one to watch next year because we've never been in this situation as a fan. Yeah. So
they've got a lot to prove, and once again, they have the whole window is open to them to prove to us fans that they care, that they're ambitious, that this new technical director team with Arteta and Edu know what they're doing. They prove it to us. Go ahead.
Yeah. You know, because now
we watched.
Because now,
we supported. We watched, and we're analyzing. That's all we can do as fans.
And now this will be like what third window. They need to show in this window what they can do and put it into something next year. So
yeah, well, we shall see.
And then
talk about it.
And we'll be back and we'll be here week in and week out.
Indeed.
All right, mate. It's been fun.
Definitely.
Ciao.